What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to the Save Continue Newscast. My name is Tommy Shelby. With me, Sophie.
Also known as Shanae Howard.
Yeah. Sorry.
Jesus.
So Ryan's not here because he's got a bellyache, but he should be on the rest of the shows this week. Shanae, why don't you start us off?
We're gonna talk about the news from November 4th to November 11th. Got the dates this week.
I didn't have those.
We have them collectively.
Yeah.
If I have them, you have them.
Sure.
We're a team here at the Save Continue crew.
And the audience has them.
Dates, you got them. So as far as this week, I have EA acquiring Respawn.
$400 million.
$1 million.
Actually, more than that. If you look at the total worth, it totals out to about $455 million. So interesting thing about this is that EA just closed Visceral, who was working on a single-player Star Wars game. Then they buy Respawn, who was working on a single-player Star Wars game. Isn't that weird? And they're also working on Titanfall 3, but it's just kind of strange. Yeah. They're offering them incentives, like if the game sells this well, we're going to give you this, which is interesting.
That's
Also interesting that Respawn is formed by two previous leads on the Call of Duty franchise who left Activision, and then now they're going to EA.
So
it's kind of weird.
Same mother, going back to the mother company.
Yeah, yeah.
And also Intel and AMD are partnering up to work on a new core processor.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
I didn't hear about that.
Yeah. They announced it in a video, and some people are well, they didn't talk at all about AMD, but they mention Radeon GPUs.
Radeon.
Yeah. I just read stuff. I don't say it out loud. I don't have friends to talk to.
Sure.
So obviously it's AMD, and so some people are excited about it. Some people are saying it looks like some Apple products. We'll see.
So two become one.
Two become one.
Cool.
What news you got, Tom?
Okay, so let's talk about some numbers and how everybody
Numbers. I like numbers.
who bitches about video games, and we tell you to vote with your wallets, you don't do this. You don't do what you say you're going to do. You're liars. You're bad people.
People don't feel like their vote counts these days.
Right.
It's a problem.
So let's talk about microtransactions first. Ubisoft and Take-Two Interactive this week came out with their earnings reports, and there's some interesting numbers here. 51% of Ubisoft's earnings have come from microtransactions. They are making more off of microtransactions than they are off the games themselves. So everybody that's bitching about it, you're still buying it. Take-Two came out this week and said that every game going forward will have microtransactions in some form or another, right? So any Rockstar game or what else do they do? Borderlands, right? Any of those, they want all of their games to have microtransactions going forward, and you can see why. 48% of their net revenue, microtransactions. So everybody bitching about it, stop buying it or you keep buying it. Of course they're going to do this.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna say that I haven't bought into games with microtransactions.
Sure.
Normally,
when it's fair, why not?
Normally, they're free mobile games, and if I'm really enjoying a story, like an Anatomy mobile game, I'll buy coins so I can get more chapters and more stuff.
And to be fair, by microtransactions, this doesn't include just loot boxes. It's just also DLC, anything like that.
Okay.
Anything purchased after the initial purchase of the game.
So okay, so obviously.
But obviously, mostly loot boxes and things of that nature.
Because you can only buy so many season passes. You don't need more than one.
We've talked about this before, and we had almost this exact update last year. Everybody says that they're tired of Call of Duty and they don't like Call of Duty. Well, guess what? In 2 days, Call of Duty has made $500 million. $500 million. That's right.
$1 billion?
And, it's not set in stone yet, but just like last year with Infinite Warfare, I bet you World War II's #1 selling game this year. So, make of that what you will. Let's see what else.
A lot of people like playing games with their friends.
Last week or the week before? Go ahead.
So a lot of people like playing games with their friends.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying,
Birdo
like,
has
everyone talks shit about Call of Duty. Even, like, Games Press talks shit about Call of Duty. If so many people hate it, who's buying this thing? Apparently everyone.
But they also get rated on like IGN and shit like that all the time, super well.
Sure. I mean, they're good games. There's no denying that.
Good multiplayer, easy to
So,
jump into.
a week or two ago, we talked about the Switch firmware update 4.0.0 and all the things that added, including GameCube controller support. And us, along with a lot of other outlets, were speculating what this meant, right? Does this mean that Virtual Console for GameCube games is coming soon? Is this specifically for Smash Brothers? What is it? Turns out, Nintendo did that on accident. So, like, it's going to remain in there, but the whole thing was that they were trying to make third-party controller support work, and in doing so, made GameCube controllers work. So, just a happy accident. No, nothing
Happy
confirmed.
accidents are good.
Yeah, nothing confirmed, but I still do think we'll get Smash or GameCube in one way or another.
It just makes sense.
Yeah. Last story for the week. Telltale has laid off, I believe, about 90 people, which is about 1/4 of their staff.
I was about to say, how many?
Yeah.
I mean, what do they own? What are they working on at this point? Because I know the Guardians of the Galaxy, right?
I don't know if Guardians is over or not. They're still working on Batman. They have announced a new season of Walking Dead, which will be the final season of Walking Dead. They've announced season 2 of The Wolf Among Us.
Okay.
And that's all that I can think of off the top of my head. But here's the thing. We've talked in the past about how Telltale takes on too many properties at once.
Didn't we just talk about Telltale taking another property, buying one recently?
Maybe.
Or getting the rights to it?
Well, we did talk about they got a new CEO recently, which was the CEO of Zynga, I believe.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So that might have something to do with it. I think he can do a lot of good for their company. Telltale, they've been around for a long time, right? But Sam & Max wasn't huge. Jurassic Park wasn't huge. Back to the Future wasn't huge. They didn't really hit their stride until The Walking Dead season 1.
Jurassic Park was light.
Yeah, no, I mean it was fine, but it didn't hit record numbers or anything like that.
It's not Call of Duty numbers.
Right. It wasn't until Walking Dead season 1 that they were getting a bunch of critical praise. That game won over 100 Game of the Year awards. It sold like crazy. And it seemed like overnight people were wanting to make deals with them. So we saw them make deals with Microsoft, with Image, with Marvel, with DC, with just with HBO, like a ton of different companies. And I feel like it was too much at once. And of course, you're going from a small team, because we have to remember at this time Telltale is just a handful of people, probably less than 50 total. Now they're closer to 400, right? They for a team that small, and you see, I'm going to get like these fucking properties, Minecraft, Marvel, DC, all these properties. How are you going to say no to that? But in doing so, in working on all these projects, they failed to work on the tech and improve the tech. The latest episode of Batman, the last episode of Batman season 1 ran like fucking trash. Regardless of whether you're playing on PC or console or whatever, it just ran horribly.
Because I only played the first 2 episodes.
Yeah.
Or I think I might have gotten onto the 3rd.
Yeah.
And those, they worked. Like, the timing, we all agreed, was really off. Like, if you're going to have a QuickTime event, it has to be an actual QuickTime event.
Right. And my whole thing is, jack of all trades, master of none. I think, like, focusing on maybe fewer properties and focusing on the tech can really help them. Also, with layoffs in studios like this, a lot of people read these stories and they're like, oh my God, this company laid off this much staff, that company laid off that much staff. I think Telltale is learning the hard way that with projects like this, whether it's something as big as Call of Duty or Uncharted, or even something smaller like what we get out of like Deep Silver, that's typically the way game development works. Is you hire what a large majority of your staff would be independent contractors, and when the project is over, you let them go.
I mean, we saw that with Sony closing a lot of opening and then closing a lot of studios.
Right.
Like when you are done with the project,
right?
Like you can't keep paying them to do nothing.
And that's how most of these bigger teams work, and I think that Telltale is just learning how to be a bigger team.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's all the news we have, guys. We'll see you next week, and I love you. Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.